What is up, Still Studyins? Welcome to the Still Study Session Live. This is episode 1, hopefully number 1 in a long continuation, a history that is established with the Still Study Live. Those of you that follow the site and listen to the study sessions, the audio version, you know that I hit episode 500 this past week. So here's to 500 episodes of the Study Session Live. And very excited to be jumping into the video realm of podcasting. Have done live audio podcasts for a long time. Started doing some other podcasts via video and wanted to take my Steelers site to video, and so here we are. And so on episode number 1, I'm going to talk about the Steelers' priorities in this year's NFL draft according to my analysis and evaluation, and I'm so excited to share that all with you today. But before I get into that, a few things I want to mention. Shout out to my good friend Jim Wexell over on the Steel City Insider. Jim and I record a podcast during the season. It's every week. The off season, our schedule's a bit irregular, but our podcast is called the Steel City Insider Podcast. Jim and I will actually be recording following this weekend's Super Bowl. Yes, the Eagles and the Chiefs. Who cares? It's not the Steelers. I'm joking. Anyway, Jim is the GOAT of Steelers beat writers, having covered the team since 1995. You don't want to miss him. He is super knowledgeable and insightful about your team. Check him out. He's linked in the show notes. And then also, too, if you haven't checked out the Still Study or listened to the audio versions of the study sessions, please check those out. That is linked in the show notes as well. And also, too, we have an affiliate partnership with Real Life Trading. If you've ever wanted to trade the stock market successfully, profitably, consistently, Real Life Trading is your one-stop shop for stock market education. It has transformed my life. I have left behind my W-2 job. I now trade full-time. I want to share it with everybody out there in the world. So check that out. It's linked in the show notes. And so let's get into it. This inaugural edition of the Study Session Live, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers' needs in this year's draft. And to me, I'm going to run down how I'm prioritizing where the Steelers need to target the positions at number 17 and thereafter with their subsequent picks. And so I'm going to talk about those 5 positions from my analysis and evaluation that the Steelers need to target in this year's draft. Now, some people may not agree with this. That's completely fine. I'm going to get into my rationale and logic behind it, and let me know what you think in the comments. Here we go. The number 1 position of need, cornerback, followed by defensive line, 3rd, offensive line, 4th, inside backer, 5th, wide receiver. Let me go through the logic behind those selections. So, remember, the Steelers are picking at number 17, so it's going to be hard to find a guy who's going to be able to come in immediately and start right away. But when you look at that cornerback position, they need an upgrade, an infusion of talent, somebody with coverage ability, somebody with speed and good awareness, ball skills. They need to re-sign Cameron Sutton this offseason. That has to happen. He's going to command a pretty dollar this offseason. There's no doubt about it. But they're going to re-sign him because you can't go into the season with 2 new starters. But starting opposite Sutton, we all saw what happened with Ahkello Witherspoon last year before he was injured. I was excited about what Witherspoon could bring to the table. Turns out it wasn't much at all. There's a chance he's going to get cut. And Levi Wallace, he's a good depth player. He's not a starter. This is not to say that whomever they draft at pick number 17 is going to step in and start. What's going to happen with that type of player, the talent, the speed that's available through this individual, they're going to work him into a rotation. He'll be playing sub-package football, and then maybe by year's end, he will be able to assume that starting role. But they need to bolster that position. They need to do it at number 17. That's why I have that ranked as the target area for the Steelers in the first round. Number 2 priority, defensive line. There's no secret here that the run defense has struggled the past few years. Cameron Hayward is getting up there in age. He's maybe has 1 to 2 years left of elite level play. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler through and through, but they need to start grooming someone for whenever he's finished, but also, too, they need to have someone who could work into that rotation and offer some stoutness against opponents' running games. So, if the Steelers can find a quality defensive lineman at selection number 17, again, this guy's not going to be brought in to start, but someone that they could work into the rotation to spell some of the other D linemen, get some experience, and then maybe in year 2 start, that makes a ton of sense to me. Now, there are players available out there in free agency. I'm going to talk about that in some later episodes of the Study Session Live. Maybe they'll go that route, but they need to prioritize that defensive line. They've disregarded it for years. They need to make something happen in that arena. Now, number 3, offensive line. A lot of people are saying that with pick 17, they're going to select an offensive tackle, maybe even a guard. And look, I get it. The offensive line wasn't great last year. However, we cannot discount the fact that this unit played together the duration of the season, and they got better with every game, especially toward the end of the season when they were blowing people off the ball, opening up massive running lanes for Najee Harris, for Jaylen Warren. There's no reason to not expect this group to get even better and be more effective next season. And so I think that has to factor into the equation. And for me, that's why I would not pull the trigger at number 17. Dan Moore, left tackle, has played 2 years. Sure, he had a down season, but are you going to give up on that development this quickly? I'm not so sure about that. Kevin Dotson, if there's any interior position that needs to be replaced, it would be Dotson, a left guard, or Mason Colt, center. But are you going to give up on them this quickly? I don't see it happening. The more likely scenario for offensive line for the Steelers would be to draft tackle or guard in rounds 2 or 3, which I see them doing. And that first round pick, I think it's better spent at the cornerback spot. Now, would I be surprised if they go offensive line at number 17? Absolutely not. But this is just how I see things playing out. So that's the 3rd spot. 4th spot, inside linebacker. Again, going back to the defense, they need to be able to stop the run. We all know what happened with Devin Bush following his injury. He played better this year than he did the season before, but they need to get a physical presence on the inside, and drafting an inside backer who can come in and do that might be the way to go. Now, there are some really special free agents out there that the team could target to come in and start for this team, and we'll have to see if they pursue them. But for right now, they're number 4 on my list. And then 5th overall, it's wide receiver. And I would not be surprised whatsoever at number 17, the Steelers surprise everyone and draft a wide receiver. Why? Because they have what they believe is a franchise quarterback in Kenny Pickett. They want to surround him with weapons, and they might do that at pick 17. So don't be surprised if that happens. I would not be. Maybe reuniting Pickett with his college buddy Jordan Addison could happen. We'll have to see, but I would not be surprised. So there you go. My 5 areas where I see the Steelers potentially drafting this offseason. Again, cornerback, 1, defensive line 2, offensive line 3, inside backer 4, and wide receiver 5. That can all change based on what happens in free agency. That's how I see it, and that is it for episode number 1 of the Study Session Live. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget about the podcast that I do with Jim Wex over on his site, The Steel City Insider. Don't forget to check out the study sessions 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And don't forget about real life trading. If you want to learn how to trade the market, that's linked in the show notes. And shout out to Jim Wexel and his new book, On the Clock. We're getting into draft season. This is a great book, great read. I'm reading it now. I have a link to it down in the show notes. Check it out. But until next time, in between time, in the meantime, remember, life is beautiful in the black and gold. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone. Too bad it's not the Steelers. I will see you next week for episode number 2 of the Study Session Live. Take care.